All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome on back here this Wednesday, October 6th, 2021. Of course, great to see all of us live in the Cyber Group room. Patrick, Norman, those are the only two chatting at least over the last 5 or so minutes, but great to see Chuck, great to see Leda, great to see all of our members, Brian included, inside the Cyber Group room. And hey, if you're joining us back on Facebook Live or YouTube, welcome on back. So, folks, we got a lot to get here too, or we got a lot to get to at least today in this meeting. Fausto is finishing up the Phase 3 stock course. That'll be live for all of our gold, platinum, diamond CTU students coming up at the top of the hour. For right now, VYGR is on the screen. It's pushing up to seemingly the next resistance up top at 4. The opening bell print on this trade really quickly. I'm kind of going all over the place, but the opening bell print is exactly at 399. And then on top of that, you got a 3940K seller roughly right off of 4. So just to begin things, the VYGR trade we'll definitely put on our main afternoon list. Full disclosure, I've been in this trade from 355. I've been scaling out across the last 30 or so minutes. Ended up making a nice pop, and then from there, I ended up closing 500 shares a pop, but I still have 1,000 shares left. And for right now, I may actually hop out on the next quarter of my position here, believe it or not. Like I said, the opening bell print is right off of 4. I don't want to be a jerk and do this meeting and then all of a sudden come back to VYGR and back down at 370. So, you know what? I just closed out my next 500 share position. I got 500 left. But yeah, the way this is looking, we're definitely going to put this on our watch list so far. All right. Well, on top of VYGR, we have the BTBT trade. On top of BTBT, we have all of crypto to talk about. Today is Wednesday. So, at the end of this meeting, we'll talk all about crypto. But I want to begin this meeting, or rather continue this meeting, by giving a quick shout out to Fausto, his wife, Debbie, really, because October 6th to me is a bit more of a sentimental day. That was the day I was hired. So back 7 years ago in 2014, I ended up getting hired by Fausto. And to think back then that I would be where I'm at right now is incredible. I mean, I never would have thought it. And it's not to say I'm rolling in the dough. Look at me, I'm making $50,000 days. I'm not one of those folks, people. But it's to say that in terms of knowledge, in terms of skill, in terms of confidence upon taking entries, I mean, crap. I didn't know what a short trade was when I was first hired back in 2014. I was coming off a real estate career at the time, unsuccessful real estate career. But, nonetheless, pretty lost in the wind at the time. Personally, had a lot going on. And like I'd said, very inexperienced with the stock market back then. I was practically a sales rep for Fausto and, ended up slipping into the instructor role back in early 2016. Ended up grasping things pretty quickly, but geez, even the last couple of years with level 4 book map included, it's just been such a big game changer. I never would have thought that I'd be at where I'm at now, if I'm kind of thinking back then in 2014, 2015, you know what I mean? So once again, quick shout out to Fausto and Debbie. Thank you folks so much. Thank you guys so much for giving me this platform really, and giving me the ability to, just kind of go under your tutelage there. All right, so for right now, VYGR on our list to begin. Let's go from top to bottom as always, and we'll see what else we got. The GROM trade. This one right now pulling back, but this stock ended up making a really nice move for us heading into the late morning, and of course going into 1 o'clock. Ended up re-breaking above 450. Made a beautiful slingshot for just over $1. Ended up beginning to pull back though. So right now, this stock's in a pretty precarious position right now, making lower highs, pulling back to support off of 5. I'll come back to this stock if I need to. We'll go from top to bottom and just continue going through the list here. And, if we have a need to come back to this stock at the end, then we will. Look at this. How about this for traders dyslexia really fast, folks? It's just funny how it works out this way. You got NXTP up 25%, $1.64 stock, and then NXTD right here, 41-cent stock. I don't think they're related. Just funny how it works out that way. Going back to the other one though, NXTP, what does the chart look like there? Ended up making a bit of a pop going into 2 o'clock here, kind of low volume at first, but the order book looks great. Yeah, I guess I'll come back to this at the end if I need to. It doesn't really look that great right now, but if this ends up making another pop by the end of this meeting, then we'll see. RESN, not much happening there. We'll kind of just skim through because I got a chat from Patrick here inside Cyber Group saying A and Y going bananas. We'll take a look at that in a bit. This AFRM too expensive. All right, so BTBT we'll talk about here pretty quick. I'm not too keen on putting this on the afternoon watch list. I mean, just literally no direction on this trade right now. If anything, it's made lower highs, and albeit it's holding over the opening bell print right now at 1178. Unless if we get a really strong pop in Bitcoin heading into the close, folks, I wouldn't be as convinced about this making one more push. Again, if it ends up making a big pop by the end of this meeting, again, we'll kind of reconsider. But stock ended up making such a nice move in pre-market. After the market opened up, it ended up making a great bounce. Ended up bouncing from a little bit over 11, pushed back above the opening print off 1178. And I ended up jumping in the trade a couple of times here at first, and then it ended up running up. I hate to say it, but I ended up letting a decent amount of the profit slip away from me as I wanted a lot more on this trade. I ended up getting out off of 12. I took the same trade here and then ran it back up. I was in that trade much longer in terms of time. And, you know, when it's failing to make a higher high and pop and break out and instead making a lower high, you got to realize when it's time to fold them. So I'm not in this trade anymore. I was in it from, earlier today and just recently, but I don't know. We'll come back to it at the end if we need to, the BTBT. But if ANY is popping and going bananas, then maybe BTBT will make a push, as ANY has been known to be as a crypto mining stock. So it's one of those that we've been following more so recently over the last month and a half once that news came out, but ended up making a nice push earlier. I don't know how much bananas this is really, Patrick. Ended up making a nice spike up here, but we've seen crazier. We've seen the stock make a much better move and a much faster move. Nice little pop. Hopefully there's a lot more left to it. I'm rooting it on. You know what I mean? But I don't know. Not really too special of a move there. I'll tell you what, I don't know how special of any other moves we're going to catch here heading into the close outside of what's on our list so far, the VYGR. Just checking out the gainer side here. Lastly, just skimming through other names. I mean, hey, another crypto miner, Bitcoin miner, Marathon Holdings ended up making a nice trend up off the lows, and then from there it stuck off the highs heading into this time of the day. So with where this is at right now, you would like to think this could make a nice run. And hey, I'll root this on too. Hey, if you've been following us here in the afternoon meeting, whether it be inside the live trading room or on YouTube or Facebook Live today, if you've been following me long enough, for months at this point, I haven't really said this for a matter of months. So finally, I'll have the chance to say this again. When we see these crypto miners like that are up 5, 6, 10+%, made these big moves overnight or into the market open, they rarely, if ever, at all, made that continued push up. You would hope to see Mara make another $2 plus move into the close with it being at the highs and making a new HOD as we speak. But history literally tells us that that does not happen at all. It rarely does. And that is that's the one thing that I would love to be more wrong about than ever, because you folks know I love crypto. I love, Riot, Mara, BTBT, and all that stuff. But yeah, I mean, just we've never seen these stocks make great moves heading into the close, and we've been tracking them for over a year now, at least here. So I don't know. We'll see. Mankind, MNKD. I feel like Fausto will fire me today on my 7-year anniversary if I don't put this stock on the watch list here. Now, of course, I joke around when I say that, but actually just, a little history lesson. I remember back in 2014, 2015, when I was still kind of getting my, gears going in terms of trading. I remember this Mankind stock, and it would always make these little moves here and there, but with it being at the highs of the day right now, just like it is here, Fausto loves this stock, so I'm sure that he'll be trading this in particular in class if it continues to hold strong where it's at now. But yeah, the Mankind trade I'll put on our main list here. All right, nasty shake really fast on the VYGR stock, by the way, folks. I still have 500 shares left from 355, but that just made it like a 15-20 cent drop pretty quickly. So I'm happy I got out where I did on the 500 shares I closed at, but we'll see on that stock. All right, so speaking of seeing on this stock here, I told you folks that the only level I'd really be interested in calling CEI out would be off of $1. It's kind of getting close to there right now. So that could be a little bit of a nice bottom fish or, slingshot type of entry. So I'd be interested in it, but I'll tell you what, just between you and me, I don't think Fausto would be really watching this stock as much heading into the close, unless if it happens and then he'll react from that point. You don't want to try and catch the falling knife on any trade. This one included. It has tight spread. It's moving relatively slow per minute, but it's moving steady on the way down. So you never know. All right, we'll keep it going here, folks. We'll see what else we got here on the loser side before we close up shop. With the market pushing up the highs, wouldn't be expecting for there to be a whole lot on the loser side here into the close, but got TEL. I wrote this down on my notepad this morning. The TELL stock. It was on the losers list down, 6+% to begin the day. Ended up making actually a pretty sneaky good short trade. Below $5, but easy to borrow on my platform. Stock ended up making a nice little pop, then pull back, and led to a great trade. Actually, right now it's just completely dead, like very flat. Not much going on right now. All right, folks, we're going to jump to Bitcoin, but that will just about do it from me. I think the only stock that I'd be interested in putting on our list, or maybe I should say back on our list, would be BTBT, because since we had last touched base with it, it's trying to inch back up to 12. So listen, I'm still reluctant putting some of these Bitcoin mining related stocks on the afternoon watch list in particular, given history. But you know what? The stock's treated us so nicely. It's still holding over the opening bell print, albeit still under 12. But, we'll put this on our main watch list. It's not as if we're going to be forced to trade this stock. If it can crack back over 12, I think that could be a really good setup. I'll tell you what, I have no idea if news came out on VYGR right now, but I'm just jumping ship. Getting out on the last 500 shares in my position. Only got 11 cents on that, but I had a good entry from the lows, so I was pretty happy with the entry. But man, this thing just completely crapped out the other way. I mean, hey, it's shortable. I was looking for the short earlier today. Unfortunately, I didn't get it, but I was there at the right place just at the wrong time. All right, folks, so I'm going to chirp about Bitcoin for a quick moment, but then otherwise, if there's anything that ends up moving here coming up in the next few minutes that I didn't see or go over just yet, just type it in the chat boards just ahead of time, and I'll get to it just before we finish up. All right, so Bitcoin, this is all we're going to talk about today because we have the miners moving up like BTBT and Mara, perhaps. I'm more interested in the BTBT trade and perhaps ANY. We'll check back in with that at least at the end. But, nonetheless, Bitcoin, this is what we'll talk about here, at least heading into the end of this meeting. But where we last left off on Bitcoin, this is the vertical line back from October 4th, just a couple days ago during the afternoon meeting. This is where Bitcoin was trading at. So since, smooth sailing. Nice push up. It's doing what I thought it would do at this point because it was flirting with this like 49, 50,000 line for so long. And I told you folks back like a month ago or a month and a half ago that we weren't out of the woods just yet. I ended up making for a nasty drop here this day. And, some FUD coming out in terms of China banning Bitcoin, this and that. I had an email from someone that was like, I don't know why they were so upset or irrationally mad. They were actually like pretty pissed off at me talking about Bitcoin, saying that it's going to drop back down to 18,000. I don't know. I don't know, folks. I don't know. I've been extremely transparent with you the whole time with every time I purchased Bitcoin. I haven't purchased it since the last time I purchased it, which was right under 44,000 here. I had a lucky break. I talked about that heading into Friday at the end of last week. And since we've been rocking and rolling. So this leaves me to at least ask, where's our next resistance? Well, the next resistance, I think, is going to be relatively short-lived, to be honest. We're going to have a little turbulence, but I think that our next resistance is going to be right around 58.5 and then, between 58.3 and 60. There's a range of resistance that I have up top, and for that, perhaps I'll switch to my 6-hour chart. There we go. I would assume that a little over 58 and then otherwise 60 flat's going to be the next, theoretical resistance. But I don't think that we're going to be there for too long. I think that we're going to blast over that. Not to say within the next couple weeks, but I think in 1 month from now, we're over all-time highs. Pretty soundly, too. So we'll see. But nonetheless, I mean, hey, for all the entries I was telling you folks that I got in around 41,000 and, 36,000, and it dropped off a little bit, but this is not day trading. This is a completely different, type of market that we're playing here, and more of a long term. So, it's not necessarily about the day-to-day moves, but it's more so about just making sure that we're making good progress with direction, and more so with anything. It's in terms of time. I think Bitcoin, that the peak will be anywhere between late December to late February. That's kind of a 2-month window, I know, but that leaves me to believe that in the next couple of months, I think that we'll have a nice few months ahead. Who do I buy through? Brian's asking inside Cyber Group. I'll answer that quick. Coinbase for all my Bitcoin purchases. Coinbase. I know they have high fees, but they're the most convenient, app, platform, whatnot for me to purchase. So all my other altcoins and whatnot, I do through KuCoin, KuCoin, just another exchange. A couple different wallets and whatnot. All right, so I'll tell you what, BTBT, unfortunately, from the last time we talked about it, and before we jumped into Bitcoin briefly there, it pulled back. So I don't know how likely it is that this is going to end up making for a pop and run up into the close. We'll keep it on our list, though, for the meantime. It'll be on the back of our list. NXTP from our side list so far, doing jack. And then finally, GROM is doing something, but not what we want it to do. All right, so I think that just about wraps it up for right now, folks. I will be back on the mic coming up at 3:30 Eastern time for all of those not joining Fausto, at least in the advanced live trading class coming up at 3:05 for all of our gold, platinum, diamond, C2 students. You folks, of course, have access to that class. Rich posted the link just, in the announcements tab just up top earlier. We'll repost it coming up pretty shortly from now. But aside from that, though, folks, like I said, best of luck trading heading into the close, and I'll be back on the mic at 3:30. I'll talk to you soon.